Howdy folks, and welcome to 15 Nautical Mile Arc. Today we're going to have another short flight, and it's going to be a calming flight today. Hopefully not nearly as eventful as the previous video to St. Bart's. The point of this video, of this flight anyway, today is I wanted to fly the real world weather for the first time on this channel. Ever since I updated to SkyMaxx Pro version 3.2, I've been doing a lot of tests with the weather and things like that, where I've been setting up specific scenarios with the weather and clouds and everything. But today I wanted to do a real life weather flight. Unfortunately, in the real world in Cincinnati, it's clear skies and practically no wind. I think there's a light breeze gusting at 10 knots out of the northwest. But in that regard, the wind is perpendicular to all of our runway choices at our starting and ending airport, so we'll have a theoretical crosswind, although I think it's so light it's not going to really do anything. But that's okay, we'll be able to see the horizon clearly and everything. So we are just outside of Cincinnati at KLUK, which is Cincinnati Municipal Lunken Field. We'll be taking off from runway 25. And then we're going to fly over downtown Cincinnati, and then we're going to head out to Oxford, home of Miami University, and the airport is called Miami University, and that's KOXD, and we'll land probably on runway 23 there. We will be heading towards an NDB, and we are running completely default scenery with version 3 mesh. This airport is not modeled, however, Oxford or Miami is. I modeled it myself, so that's how I know. But otherwise, this could be a quick sightseeing trip. I wanted to see what a medium-sized city looks like before X-Plane 10.5 comes out, when they redo their autogen and focus on accurate cities and skylines. So let's hop in and let's get going here. We don't need to spend too much time flying on this video today. We're just going to have a nice, scenic, low-key, relaxing flight. And the plan is to do the entire video without editing anything. I'll usually cut out things for time, or I'll cough or sneeze or something, or the cats will interrupt me, and I'll pause and I'll edit that out. But today I want to have a straight through flight if I can. That is the plan anyway. So this is the Piper Archer by Carenado, and it's actually version 3.2, I believe. I just updated it yesterday. In fact, I updated all of my aircraft last night. I went to the org store and I had a look at any updates available, and everything had updates, all 9 or so of my payware aircraft. So I spent an hour downloading gigabytes of aircraft. So I don't think there's really any major updates in this one. I think it's just little things in the background that I may or may not notice. So let's see here. We're going to hop over here. We are going to have NDB 282. So let's move this to 282. There we go. We're just point there. Although I know the area well enough that I know where we're going. But just in case I get distracted or sidetracked. We'll do one set of flaps, but we'll wait till we get closer to the runway. I think that's all we need to do. Yeah, I've shown off this aircraft before. I love this aircraft, although I seem to choose the Cessna 152 though if I'm going to do a small aircraft. I don't know why. I really like this aircraft, and it's very easy to fly. But anyway, let's get going here. So why Cincinnati? Why not any other random city? Well, my wife and I lived in Oxford our first year of marriage so she could work on her PhD. So I know the area, and I'll be able to narrate a little bit as we're flying around. And I kind of admit I'm kind of excited to have a clear day, because as much as I love SkyMaxx Pro in the clouds, as you saw in one of the previous videos to Fargo, the cloud shadows create a weird textures on the horizon, and I just haven't had time to work on that and figure out if I can optimize some settings. So having a clear day will eliminate that problem, and we'll get to see the sim and the default, or the version 3 mesh in all of its glory. I'm actually just going to speed this up till we get to the end of the runway. Alright, we're going to do our first set of flaps down here. I know speeding up the taxi is considered an edit, but I guess what I meant by not having any edits is that I'm not going to have any cuts in the video. So pretty much real time the entire flight here except for the taxi acceleration. I am going to stop here a second to turn my landing lights on. And let's see, I think we can go here, turn on the landing lights, turn that on as well, and I think we are ready to get out of here. Plenty of runway. And those hills you're seeing in front of us, that's the river valley. And we're up, positive rate, no gear. Flaps in, and we'll follow the runway heading a little bit here. Cincinnati's off to our right. And if you're wondering where the Greater Cincinnati Northern Kentucky Airport is, it's in front of us. We're actually not going to be able to see it. Well, we may see the buildings off in the distance if you know exactly where to look, but it'll be a while anyway. So we will be coming up on Cincinnati. Those of you who know the area know that Covington, Kentucky is near there with the German neighborhoods and all that stuff. And we're actually crossing into Kentucky now, into the Covington area. And then we'll turn back into Ohio when we get closer to Cincinnati. Let's have an outside view quick, and then we'll stick inside most of the flight. So here we are climbing at a pretty good clip. So there's downtown Cincinnati there. That is default, but the stadiums are modeled, so I'm thinking perhaps this, well, maybe the stadiums are part of the airport over here. I'm not sure where those stadiums came from. I don't recognize them as autogen, but everything else is clearly autogen. And the Greater Cincinnati Airport would be that flat area there. We're not going to get that far. So anyway, that's Covington, Kentucky in front of us. That German neighborhood I think is here, if I remember. It was fun to visit there. One thing I remember about Cincinnati are the really cool bridges up here. So when we would go from Minneapolis to Oxford, Ohio, which is about 45 minutes northwest of Cincinnati, drive time, it's only a couple minutes flight time, we would mainly drive it 14 to 16 hours. One time we did fly to northern Kentucky, but the other times we flew, we would fly into Indianapolis and then drive 2 hours to Cincinnati, because flights to Indianapolis were so cheap that we could fly, park our car, pay for parking for weeks at a time, and it would still be cheaper than a flight to Cincinnati. So there we go. One thing I remember Cincinnati was proud of is that all of their major sports teams' stadiums are all downtown along the river. I guess that's unusual, apparently, to have all your sports teams downtown, I guess. So there we go. I guess we'll see a little bit more of the airport than I thought. That's the biggie. It's modeled. That's default, but it's from the gateway, so it's modeled. There's a nice shot of the city. I think we have an inside view. There you go. This is actually the cargo area of the airplane. If you look, we're kind of hanging out in the cargo area here. But as I was saying about those clouds, so no cloud shadows, so our horizon and the distance is perfectly smooth. I had an issue a couple videos back with the cloud shadows causing really strange textures And like I said, I'm going to spend some time tweaking that before I use them again, but I will be using them. I am completely in love with SkyMaxx Pro. Even here, clear skies with the cirrus clouds. This is all SkyMaxx Pro doing that. So even on a clear day, it's completely amazing. So there's downtown, a couple of freeway interchanges. The freeway loop here goes through Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana. So we're on the border of those 3 states right now. I think it's time to hop inside and pay attention. Alright, so we're going to trim down a little bit. Level off about here. Let's see, do we want to turn? Yeah, we're going to turn more towards the north. And we'll go over Hamilton and Fairfield, which are kind of like the exurbs, so to speak. Let's straighten out here. And then basically we're just going to follow the main highway out to Oxford. Fortunately, it's going to be a much, much shorter flight than would be drive time. Let's just level off about here. Don't need to fly too high. We'll keep our landing lights on too. Actually, if you want to see Fairfield, Hamilton, we got to come over here a little bit. So if you see where these, the river, you have a river, then you got these islands. This is where Hamilton and Fairfield are. So that's where we'll head. And then that right there would be Houston Woods. Big lake and a park. And that's where Oxford is. So that's where we're headed. Looks far away right now, but it's not that far away, I promise. So basically, we're just going to enjoy ourselves. I do not believe that I need to do anything with engine management in this aircraft. I think we can just leave it. Yeah, even with everything cranked up, we're still in the green. I'm going to take it down to 25. I know there's an official climb rate and RPM and all that stuff, but I'm not going to worry about it. Alright, let's trim down again so we can level off here and gain some speed. So over there you'd be looking into Indiana, Kentucky, and Ohio. You can see all 3 states right now. Very beautiful to drive the freeway loop out here. Oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. This is a really beautiful part of the country. In fact, for our honeymoon, we moved in to Oxford and hopped in a car, took our AAA books, and just drove south from here. Ended up in the Blue Mountains a few days later. Of course, we stopped many times on the way to the Blue Mountains. Ended up in Gatlinburg, of all places. We are so not touristy people, and we ended up in like the biggest touristy honeymoon place in the country, even though that is totally not our style. So the sim does a great job of modeling cities and downtown areas and, you know, freeways with the types of buildings you would expect to see around the freeway. I mean, can you imagine? This is default scenery, you guys and gals. This is default scenery. It almost looks like custom Greater Cincinnati scenery. But this is pretty much what the city looks like. It's just amazing. So there we can see Houston Woods coming into view again. We're still climbing a little bit, aren't we? One thing I found was funny is, even though we lived far out, I would go into Cincinnati for various things. And I had an early morning appointment. It was just within the freeway loop. I can't remember which area of Cincinnati, but I asked what traffic was like. And they're like, oh, it's just horrible, blah, blah, blah. So I got really nervous. And come to see, their horrible traffic is light traffic in Minneapolis. It was pretty funny. But that was 13 years ago or something, so who knows what it's like now. This is just great. clear skies, perfect blending of the horizon. There's the northern part of the freeway loop here, of course. I imagine the demographic watching this knows all that stuff, but there might be a few people who don't mind the commentary. Just move about the aircraft here. Again, you can see into Indiana. Oxford is on the border of Indiana, by the way. So the airport is just outside of the city, but it's still in Ohio, and then right beyond the airport is the Indiana border. So here we're about to come up on Hamilton and Fairfield. So this is what I was pointing out earlier. Hamilton is this area. Fairfield is this area. I actually worked at the Best Buy there in Fairfield while my wife was in school. And when we lived here, they were redoing all of these bridges. Oh my gosh, it was awful, the construction. Just awful. But I would consider those exurbs. I don't think those are suburbs of Cincinnati. I think those are pretty much exurbs. So there's Houston Woods again. As soon as we get to Hamilton Fairfield, we'll cross over and point right at it. And our ADF is spot on, of course, but I'm just showing you that that's where we're headed. See how our passengers are doing here. I guess we're in the cargo area, aren't we? There we go. Passenger view. I'm really tall, so I'm going to put myself up here. Kind of hard to fly the plane from the back seat, but at least everything is still accurate. It doesn't freeze or go away when you're in a different area of the cabin. It stays there. Pretty cool, pretty smooth. Ashtrays open. Do these close or anything? No. There are some fun things in here. You can actually move the vents around, and you can turn on the heater thing up there. I think these move. Yep, those move. Not sure why that's showing me a hand. There must be something up here that you can change. I probably bumped something now. Don't know what I did. This will tell you your ground speed, but you have to be using DME, so you have to be tuned into a DME VOR. Then your distance is here, and then your ground speed ends up there, and then you can switch between the two here. These two, 1 and 2. But we're not doing that today. It is so smooth, I wasn't even hanging onto the controls. Alright, so there's Fairfield Hamilton. Now we're going to head towards Oxford here a little bit. And I mentioned this in another video, but I've been trying to work on turn coordination, except I'm confused about my rudder control, because when I'm using my rudders on the ground instead of a nose wheel control, my rudders are correct. If I move my left paddle, I turn left, my right paddle, I turn right. However, in the air, when you are turning and your ball slides around, you're supposed to step on the ball. But if I push the rudder to step on the ball, it's opposite. So I don't know if my rudder paddles are, the axis is reversed, and it would then be backwards on the ground and supposed to be backwards on the ground, but it would be the same thing in the air. Or maybe there's something I'm missing. So if you know what's going on, go ahead and leave a comment. Because I did some research and I couldn't get my question answered. So just to repeat what I'm talking about, when you do your turn coordination and you step on the ball, I have to step, well, they're paddles, but I have to step, in quotes, on the opposite side. But when I'm on the ground, it's correct. So if I reverse the axis, it'll be correct to step on it, but it'll be backwards on the ground. So let me know. I know I said that twice, but Just let me know. So Best Buy, let's see, it was over the river. Best Buy was like right here. This is actually like a big shopping area if I remember. Maybe it's over here a little bit more. I don't think it's that far over here. Across the river and then, I don't remember. I just remember I took the back way. I went through the brewery, which would have been here. I think there's a brewery there. And I don't drink beer, so I don't remember which one. But it's a super famous one. I just remember, even though it was a highway going through there, the truckers acted like they owned it. And they'd pull out in front of you, and it's kind of frustrating, but... So here is the town of Oxford, and here's Houston Woods. So the only road to Cincinnati and back is this one here. It goes through Oxford. It actually cuts the college in half, and then it keeps going to the interstate. Then you take the interstate to Indianapolis, about 2 hours away. I think it was 2 hours. I'm pretty sure it was a 2-hour drive. And we're going to start coming down now. So I'm actually just going to trim down so I can keep our speed up. So this city, you know, again, it's default autogen, but it's very convincing. Of course, the college doesn't look like a college, but Miami University is there. Lot of student housing, of course, but then on the other side of the train tracks, the west side of the train tracks, is where the townspeople lived, and we actually lived on that side because we didn't want to live by the students too much because my wife was in grad school. We were in her late 20s or something back then. So if you think late 20s, go back to the beginning of the video when I put sometimes you can guess how old I really am if you're into detective work. But anyway, we wanted to live away from the students, so we lived on the other side of the tracks. And then just a few blocks from there was Indiana. It was a cool town. They have lots of money there, though. And I did some music stuff for the schools, for the elementary and junior high. Lots of money in that area. In fact, in Central Park, which you can actually see right here, central of the town, they call it Central Park. We were there for move-in weekend or something like that. And there's a band playing, free concert in the park. And they're doing all these All-American Rejects songs, because that's just about when they were ending up being huge. They're still pretty huge. They're still filling arenas at that point, but it was the end of their arena filling days. And I'm like, wow, this must be an AAR cover band. I was familiar with some of the songs, but they didn't sound very good, and they didn't really sound like their songs. So I just assumed it was a cover band. Come to find out, it really was All American Rejects giving a free concert in the middle of nowhere, Ohio, and then they'd go to an arena concert the next night. So that's kind of fun. Dave Brubeck came here. We saw them. That was fun. One of the piano majors got to turn pages for Dave Brubeck. The poor kid was so nervous. Oh my gosh, you could see it. So this is the main highway. I had traveled that highway many times, although mainly I'd actually go out this way and go around and then come back this way to Fairfield. Alright, here. Maybe we'll go kind of close to Houston Woods. We were on a paddle boat in that lake and were chased by a swan, and man, are they aggressive. And everybody on the beach was laughing at us. Understandably. So here's the road to Houston Woods, huge state park area. There's a road out, crosses Indiana right about here, and it goes all the way to the interstate. But the scenery just looks so wonderful. I do have tree lines and farms installed, on top of the HD3 mesh, in case you were wondering. Oh yeah, there's a little town here too that has a drive-in somewhere out. I think it's under our wing now. Little tiny town with a drive-in theater. Alright, we're starting to come down, or we've been coming down a while. So this really is an open area by the college. There's a building with Carolyn bells there. So the college is this area. It's not modeled. Downtown really is here. Just like that, there's the Central Park I was talking about. This is all completely accurate. So if you drove through town and you come in here, this would be the official highway, and then it turns into a highway again here. There are the train tracks. So this is all college area. And then there's Houston Woods that won't turn around a little bit here. Looks just like that. Oh, that's amazing. This map data they use is just so convincing and so accurate. The science buildings were here. So if you look at this softball field, there's a dentist office, and we lived right there. There's that little U-shaped road. That would be our turnaround driveway for the townhouses we lived in. Absolutely gigantic, like 2,000 square foot, 2-level townhouses. Maybe it wasn't 2,000 square feet, pretty close though. Or maybe it was smaller than I remember. Anyway, dirt cheap. But here's a softball field, and they had the yellow bumpers on the fence, which was the first time we'd ever seen that. So anyway, you drive down here, there's a little S-curve here. Here it is, across the tracks. Kroger, of course. A big shopping center. I can't remember. I think it was a Shopko that shut down because Walmart was built right here. So all these shops closed because Walmart was in town. And yeah, we'd walk to Kroger's right here. So this would be a parking lot for Kroger, those lines. All the restaurants here we eat here. Oh man, we ate out every night. It was awful. But this is where the residents lived. This is where all the college kids lived. And you can actually see the rivers and stuff from here. Look at that. The airport should be in front of us, pretty much. Yep, right there. So we're going to turn around and then land. And you know it's Miami University because there's a big M right in the pavement where you can park. Alright, I want to coordinate this turn, so I also want to lose altitude. So I'm stepping on my right paddle instead of my left, so that would tell me my axis is backwards. But when they simulate a nose tiller, it's correct. So, and despite all my research of this airport, I did not look at the altitude of the area, so I really don't know. It has to be around 600 feet, I would think, maybe 500 feet. Look, you can see our shadow. Look at that. See that? Or that's dirt. Maybe that's dirt. Oh, that's just dirt. Darn. I was going to say that's not the right spot for the shadow, but hey, who am I to question it? So they're the train tracks. We lived on the wrong side of the tracks. Although, don't get me wrong, there were still students where we lived. It was still noisy. It's still a college town. But we weren't in a position to buy a house, of course. Are we going up? Yep. I could tell we were going to. Alright, here we go. Right, landing lights are still on. Gears down because it's fixed. And despite living by an airport, the entire time we lived there, I don't think I saw more than 2 planes, and they always landed the opposite direction we are. So I don't know if the wind is normally from the other way, but I never saw an airplane fly over the city ever. First set of flaps down. Oh, this here, whole bunch of baseball fields, huge park here. That's why it's like that. And then the Indiana border was like right there. And this road we're crossing over right now went from 2 lanes each way and shoulders to barely 2 cars wide on the Indiana border. It was hilarious. It was very obvious where the thing was. All right, this is not a crosswind landing. This is called me sightseeing, because we were completely lined up for that runway, weren't we? It was perfect. And then I had to go blab and look out the window, and now we're all screwed up. I'm still having a hard time getting on. All right. And we're at idle already. We're coming in kind of hot, but I really don't care. We have plenty of runway. Whoops. Trying to bleed off speed. This airplane is so light. Man, I just do microscopic movements on my yoke, and it just goes all over the place. So, I did not notice any differences with this updated version of this aircraft between yesterday and today, but I don't think it was meant to notice any differences. I think it was just behind the scenes stuff. Alright. We'll park this thing and then we'll have a look at the landing, although it's pretty uneventful. I'm gonna hop outside for this again. It's just easier to see. When you don't have peripheral vision, it's really difficult to move along the ground. I guess I could always zoom out the field of view. Alright, I'm just gonna speed us up till I get to the hangar. Alright. So yeah, this is one of the airports I modeled early on. But I'm happy with it. Ooh, look out for the animals. But it was fun. There's a big M here on the tarmac once we come around this corner. Oh, animals running through the buildings. There we go, the big M. That was fun. I just did a cement taxiway and then just shaped it like an M. Alright, let's stop here. Set the parking brake. I'm not going to do anything inside until we do a replay, because a lot of times that the little details can get messed up. So let's have a look at that landing. I guess we do have a bit of a crosswind. I mean, there is a 10-mile-an-hour wind, or 10-mile-an-hour gust, perpendicular, exactly perpendicular to here, based on the weather and the wind barbs on SkyVector, which are pretty accurate. So I wanted to float to bleed off speed, but instead of I went up a little bit. But anyway, totally not center. Oh well, pretty uneventful. Let's just hop back to real time. I don't think we need to really see that again. Alright, let's go ahead and kill some throttle and turn off some things. What's going on here? See, if you're in the wrong spot, it picks this up. See, that's interesting. I think these are the lights. I think somebody told me that in a comment somewhere, which I appreciated, by the way. Sometimes when I make comments in the video, I go answer my own question on Google as soon as I'm done, so by the time you see the video I already know. But I do appreciate little things like that. Like, I was talking about the lights in the video and someone told me where they were. That was really nice of them. I also want to point oh, my battery's off. This is the little heater element. I think that's kind of cool. What's that do? That's new. Something about latching. Is that baggage? Nope. I don't know. We have to open up baggage from inside here as far as I know. I mean, door we can open from here though. Usually. What's going on? Oh! This is a lock for the door. That's awesome. Oh, it's on the door. Nice! I like when I learn little details. I like this too. Tell this outside temperature. It is not 55 degrees in Cincinnati right now, or in Oxford. It's probably in the 70s or hotter. It's 80 in Minneapolis for crying out loud today. Alright, well, I think that's all we can do inside here. I think we're done. Now we're just screwing around. I guess we can turn the fuel off. All right, I don't have a shutdown checklist, so that's what we're going to do. Let's hop outside a second. Oops, wrong side. All right, well, thank you for watching. If you found me by accident, I hope you subscribe. If you're not convinced, check out some other videos that are more eventful. I just wanted a calm flight after our debacle at St. Bart's the other day. It's kind of a fun one to watch. We had some scenery mishaps beyond my control. So I wanted the opposite, and I got the opposite. Completely uneventful. Thank you for coming down memory lane with me. If you are a regular viewer, thank you for sticking with me, and I appreciate it. I'm having a lot of fun building this channel and getting better equipment and reading your comments and things. And like I said, if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. And share this with your friends and leave flight suggestions in the comments. I will fly anywhere as long as it's less than 90-minute flight time, and that's just because of real-life logistics. I just don't have time to fly longer flights than that. But hope you enjoyed coming down memory lane with me. I know they were my memories, not yours, but I'm sure there's somebody in the area who's watching this who can appreciate everything we saw and talked about. And I guess that's it. I will catch you on the next one.